Okay, hi everyone. Good morning. We are here with Dre again for part 2, and we're going on part 2 for the time management
Masterclass.
I was going to say course.
Yeah.
Which was super interesting, and we can't wait to hear all the other fun stuff.
Okay, great. So I'll share my screen and I'll just pick up from where we left off. I remember which slide. I don't know if I have to give a short recap.
Maybe like a quick short recap, maybe.
Okay. All right. So let me share. So someone will have to give me the privileges to share the screen.
Oh. Let's see.
Since we're in Jenny's room.
Jenny does not have a good functioning room. Let's see. Okay, so share. No.
So just make him a co-host.
Make him a co-host. Okay, let's go.
Or host.
Make host. Okay. Change host.
All right. So cool. You should be able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to give a quick recap. And it's going to be super quick because I still have quite a bit to cover, like at least 7 more slides to cover. All right. So I started the presentation out by defining what time was. And time is what human beings use to measure the faucet of all the happenings that occur in time, space, matter, right? That's the 3 dimensions, right? In those realms, we use time, and time is a construct that we've made. So because time is a human construct and it's used to measure the happenings of all things, we've decided that there's a past, a present, and a future. Only human beings can only take action and do things in the present. I also explained how, because it is a construct and that it has no real basis, that we use it as a tool, much like a ruler. Time, it's linear. When life, as we all know, life doesn't happen naturally, linearly, right? There's cycles, it's curves, it's everything you didn't think it would be, it's everything that you thought it would be. Life is very, very curvilinear, not straight. But you need something straight because all things that are created in our dimension is a combination of straight lines and curves. That's actually the name of me and my wife's podcast that we started, Straight Lines and Curves. So the masculine, the feminine, straight line, curve, right? The rods and cones in your eyes to make sense of light, straight lines, curves, right? So all of that. So I went into that. We talked about that. Talked about where my timeline started. This is my timeline. This is New York City back in the 80s. This is the environment. I had no father, I had no mother. I was in 7 foster homes, 2 group homes before the age of 7. I got adopted at age 8 when I was turning 9. I grew up feeling unwanted because I had a half brother. He kind of looked like me. We bounced around from home to home, but I grew up with no good role models. This is Williamsburg, Brooklyn, back how it looked when I was there. Now you can't afford to live there because a very small apartment would be over $1 million to live in this same area. It's been gentrified since, but this is how my insides felt. It felt exactly like my outsides. So time became something for me where I couldn't spend a lot of time in the present, living in the present circumstances, because it would have destroyed me. These are the things that were in my now back then. So I have a really, really intimate, and this is me. This is the picture that got me and my little brother adopted. So these are the trains that we used to ride. When you grow up in the ghetto or in the hood, everything around you signifies a sense of worthlessness. Everything around you. When your environment is dirty, when your streets are dilapidated, when nobody came in and cared, when there's no resources, and when the resource is introduced, it's cocaine, which is turned into crack. It warps time. Pain has a way, Einstein said that time is relative, right? He said you can sit with a nice partner and your time will spend 2 hours with very good company and it will feel like minutes. Or you could spend a couple of seconds with your hand on fire and it will feel like hours. So time is something that is warped according to the pain. Now, the reason I was able to use my time super efficiently is because I was in pain. When you're in pain, when you're uncomfortable, you move fast. Does that make sense? So yeah. This is my life now that I created. I've done all of this in 40 years. I've transformed the trajectory of my entire family. So from the time I got adopted, I would say it took me about till age 10, like seeing dead bodies in the street, right? A lot of my friends getting locked up, murdered, or in jail, to creating this life where we're buying our home. This is me and my family buying our home and taking a semi-private flight to go get there and move in. This is me serving in the military. This is me in New York City running Reebok summer streets. This is skydiving over New Jersey. This is me and Jerry Rice doing some work together. I've got to work with a lot of pro football players, Victor Cruz, Alicia Keys, Jerry Rice. This is me speaking to kids. I get to speak to kids who grew up at risk like how I did. But I was able to do this because I had a sense of urgency. This is Donner Pass. And this is Lake Tahoe behind me. This is 8,000 feet elevation. So for me to create this life, I've been a writer for bodybuilder.com, Shape Magazine, Men's Health Magazine. I was one of their MVPs. So I've lived this incredible life in a matter of decades, right? But I was able to create it. This is Guyana, South America. This is racing Lamborghinis, like just so many cool things. Like as I look at this, I'm reminded of how so much can be done in such a little bit of time. It comes from a place of great pain, great trauma, great duress, great hurt. And it comes from, I can't stay here because it's too uncomfortable. So conquering procrastination is what I get to do now as a coach. Here's some of the people that I've helped overcome procrastination. This is a couple that got their marriage back together. This is someone who wanted to lose 50 pounds. We were able to do it. This is another person whose marriage, raising kids, and all of that was overwhelming them. But because of the use of time, better use of time, they're able to be a conscious parent to their kids. They're able to love on their husband. And it just, use of time transforms so much. And a lot of times we live in our heads, and inside of our heads, time passes super duper quickly as well. It's warped in our heads as well, which is why we carry around clocks, which is why we carry around cell phones, right? It's because time becomes warped in our heads according to what you go through. So because time is malleable, that is one of the big distinctions. Time is something that is almost impossible to manage. Your focus in your headspace is the thing to manage. The book that I wrote is called Focus on Better, because when I was in the storm, when I was in hell on earth, which felt like hell on earth to me, right? No mom, no dad, no guidance, no role models, no nothing. Because I was going through that, the use of time, or the use of like warping my mind, changing my mind, transforming my mind, personally developing my mind was something that was super important. It became paramount. And I got that distinction at a very young age that time is malleable. Time happens in your head and you live with it, and you have the power to control it no matter what the circumstances are. So that's why I wrote the book, Focus on Better, because in the middle of a storm, you can focus on the better thing and therefore transform how time passes, how you use time. This one is a really good one. This was a guy who I met. He was on the back of a garbage truck, and now he runs a 501(c), and he transforms the lives of cancer survivors now. And he's a coach for people who have been addicts in the past. He himself is an addict who overcame it. And now he owns 2 halfway homes where people come to be reintegrated back into society once they conquer their addictions. And his 501(c) does so much great work in the world. I'm so happy to have worked with him. So time is malleable. This is one of the slides that we went over last week, right? Perception makes time management a problem or a joy. Time is relative to the one who beholds it. I wish they would have taught us this as a kid, because I just thought about time as a clock. I thought about history. I thought about the future. I never thought that I had any sort of control over this. I found out through life that you have control over it through hardships, through trauma, through pain. Focus increases the productivity. So being a steward of the focus is the thing. Also, spending time versus investing time. And last week I gave this matrix. You guys remember this matrix? One of the greatest eaters of our time is making decisions. How do you make decisions swiftly, decisively? Is the framework that you bring to the decision. So I explained this framework last week, but I'll just do it really quickly. And I used the example last week of money example, right? I'd like to make $1 million in my business, but I don't know how. What that does is that sentence, but I don't know how, cuts off all possibility. Just the word but. Take that same sentence. I want to make $1 million this year in my business, and I don't know how. What it does, that framework opens up possibilities. So there's tons of sentences that we are now struggling with in our life that we don't know which road to go down to get the answer because we're using a but instead of an and. So see how possibility is linked to that 3-word conjunction. You could use that with weight loss. I want to lose 20 pounds in the next month, but I love potato chips. Right?
But the holidays are coming up.
But the holidays are coming up. Most people will gain 1 to 7 pounds, and it will stay on them for the remainder of their life. Isn't that crazy? They will gain 1 to 7 pounds this year, and it will stay on them for the remainder of their life. That is the statistics. So you would take the same thing and you would say, I want to lose 20 pounds and the holidays are coming up. Guess what comes from that? A plan.
Proactive eating.
Huh?
I just said proactive eating. I didn't realize I was not on mute. My bad.
No, but that's fine. That's perfect. This is, I just don't want to teach this content and then don't have any interaction at all. But right. So what will happen is proactive eating. Maybe you do a little more physical activity in preparation for the amount of eating you're about to do, because you get to use your higher faculties of the mind, which is intuition. That's one of the higher faculties, right? So now the second framework is busy versus occupied, right? I am busy. The whole planet is busy. Little kids playing in the sandbox is busy. You ask them, hey, what are you doing? Hey, I'm busy. Leave me alone. Busy versus occupied. two different ways of living. One is intentional and one things are happening to you. One has a chaotic feel. Busy is chaotic, out of control. Occupied means I have structure, I have intention, I have purpose, and therefore I am. So I get to impose my will in a certain way. This was a distinction that I got as a very young boy. The busy. You can't hold busy in your hand, right? You can't measure length, width, or depth with busy. You can't measure a lot of things about busy. So therefore, busy is a construct, meaning it's not real. So why not trade it for occupied, which gives you power? So imagine I was this little foster kid, right? No parents, bouncing around, but I had this. This is like a hell of a weapon, right? Because I realized that I can occupy my time. My adoptive mother gave me this distinction. Changed my world, changed my life. So remember the focus and the perception of time. So that will help you make decisions faster. You make decisions faster, then what happens is you can then form a vision. What most people do is we set goals without the vision. Vision is the telescope. And the goals are the microscope. When creating a life, when manipulating time, it's super important to use both the telescope and the microscope. And you can use time to travel back to get things from the past to use in the present so you can create the future going forward. So this is the time travel. I spoke about this last week, right? Going back into the past to remember some trait or some aspect of you that will be useful now in the moment so you can apply it to in the now to the future. So I teach a lot of my clients how to time travel because there's greatness in your past that you've left there. Most of us carry our pains, our traumas and stuff. And what that does is that slows down the time in the present now when you carry your pains and your traumas. You'll get freedom and peace in the now if you go back and you pull your greatness from the past. So there's an exercise that I do have my clients do where they go down and they have to do from 0 to 10, age 0 to 10, all of your accomplishments, starting with I learned how to walk. I learned how to speak. I won the 2nd grade spelling bee. After decades, if you've lived long enough, you're going to have a hell of a list. Guess what? You forgot about most of that stuff, and sitting down to write that stuff just freed up time, space, energy, gave you openings so that you could go ahead and live into a future that is fueled by wins, fueled by powers, fueled by the context of I am that I am. I am that I am. I am a creator, right? That's the name of God, by the way. I am that I am. And we're created in his image, so I am that I am. I am. So I am. Because you know that you are, therefore you are. All right? The framework that you bring to time, I always have enough time. Not many people use that framework. I have access to all the time that there is. Not many people use that framework. I curate and occupy my time. Not many people use that framework. Can you imagine if you use that, just how time is going to show up for you? How much easier to bend it and use it is. So creating the goals and the prioritizing creating success is also bending of time. This 5 steps are out of order. So I just want to, this slide was almost spot on. So I chose to put it in the presentation, right? And when I do this presentation, I usually do it for at-risk youth who have that urgency. So first comes the vision. Because you had the vision, time automatically pops into your head. Does that make sense, guys? When you have a clear vision, that's going to take me like 5 years. That's going to take me like 1 year. Guess what? Time is collapsible. Everything you say you want in 5 years can happen in a week. Time is malleable. Time is stretchy. Time constricts. So once you make the vision, then you get a time frame. What most people want to start with is the plan. They go with the plan first, the goals first. Then they establish the time. No, the vision establishes the time. Then you'll get what is called the idea. The idea should be next. Idea of how to get from where you are to where you want to be. So it's vision, idea. Also, idea stands for divine downloads. It's when you're in the dreaming phase, you get the divine downloads. That collapses time. That makes your doing effective. How many people have been doing something, doing something, maybe following all the steps, counting by the numbers, and still the progress is super slow? You haven't invited the divine ideas into your life yet. That collapses the time because you haven't lived in the vision long enough. You haven't felt the vision. So when I was that foster kid living in those homes, I had the vision of being one of the best fitness trainers on the planet, right? I created the body. I created the mindset. As a little kid, I was that kid. At 12 years old, I went to Modell's with $100 in my pocket that I saved up over 2 years, which I didn't know was my foster care money. I just thought they were being really nice to me, right? And that was used to buy my clothes. That was used to buy my Christmas presents. That was used to buy everything. I got that. And I got on the bus and I went to downtown Brooklyn, navigated all the drug dealers. They're like, yo, shorty, because they try to call you over to groom you to do what they do. Navigated all those dudes, went to Modell's, bought a vinyl weight set from the 80s with the cement inside of it and the vinyl on the outside, 120 pounds. Carried it on the bus. The box was old. The 2 pounds fell out. The 5 pounds fell out. I had to stop, run back, get the 2 pounds and the 5 pounds off the floor as it's rolling around in the bus. Nobody helped me because it's New York, and in New York, people mind their business, right? They don't say nothing. They don't ask any questions. So I get this big 120-pound thing home by myself, and I collapse outside the gate of my foster mom's home. And she was like, whoa, what happened? You were gone for like 5 hours. This is before cell phones. She couldn't call me, right? She was like, you were gone for like half the day. What happened? I was like, this happened. This is my biggest dream. You said that Conan worked out, Arnold Schwarzenegger worked out, and that's how he got muscles. This is how I'm getting muscles. So I took it piece by piece downstairs into the basement, and I built the body. By the time I'm 14, I look like a freaking gladiator. I'm getting D1 scouts coming and watch me play football because I'm huge. I'm the size I am now at 14, right? So anyway, it was the vision that said, get the idea and create the plan. But here's the problem. Once you get the divine download, you got to take action within 24 hours or else the baby starts to die. The baby is the idea, by the way. So then effort is something uncomfortable that you'll have to do. Effort is personal. Effort is powerful. But nobody can see effort but you, even though people on the outside always try to see effort. You think it's hard for LeBron James to shoot 100 free throws? Takes him no effort. For me to shoot 103 free throws takes a level 9 effort. I don't even want to do it. First off, I can't hit 100 free throws. I would be there for 2 weeks trying to do it, right? So it will cost you some effort. For me, the effort of carrying something that weighed 40 pounds more than I weighed at the time, that was effort. But it was worth it because of all these other 4 steps. And so that crunched time for me. I got the body of a man at 14 because I was able to crunch that time. That helped me a lot. So we did this exercise. Remember this exercise, you guys? Life-changing exercise. Take this to your clients. Take this to people you know. Basically, you find your life expectancy and you fill in all of this dark black. This is 100 squares. You fill all of this in. So according to your life expectancy, So I use the CDC, the WHO, and Statistica.com to come up with the means. I break it down by demographics. So age, race, it's all different for male, female, sex included. So I'll just do an example really quick. My life expectancy for a Black male in America is 71 years old. This is 100 squares. I'll take 30 of these squares. No, 20 of these squares and dark them out. And then 9 of these squares and dark them out. So that's 71 free squares. Out of the 71 free squares, I put an X for each year that I've lived. I've lived 44 years. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, all X's, 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 and then 4 more boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this white space, if you will, imagine there, that is my lifespan left if I am average. This is like a smack to the face. This is something that would jolt you into using your time in an urgent and intricate and pointed effort. So, there's a lot of feelings involved with that because some people only got a few squares, right? So they know I can't be average. So this is the #1 tool that I use called the 12-week year. This is what I use with my clients. This is one of my clients, Cheryl. She's the Chief Technical Officer for Salesforce.org. She is one of very few women who hold that rank in the nation, right? She had these 3 goals. This is how you establish these 3 goals. She wanted the 3 most powerful goals. Now you're only gonna do up to 3 because you're bending time in these 3 areas. You can't bend time in 5 areas. You can't bend time in 7 areas. Something has to have priority. So hers was reaching her original fitness goals. She wanted to create a sticky personal brand. Everything she had done had been tied to an organization or a company. She was an entrepreneur. She wanted to be a full-on entrepreneur. She's gone on to speak in 12 or 13 different countries now, and she's inspired thousands of young women to step into technical work, STEM work, science, technology, engineering, math. She's now a coach that does that full-time, along with her CTO obligations. She's what you call a high performer. She wanted to firmly put her financial house in order. So this is how you bend time, collapse time. 1 day equals a week in time. This is the framework. So if you waste a day of your life not moving any of these forward, then you've wasted a week. That's the penalty. You've lost a week. 1 week is a month. So this speeds time up. Remember, we're working with urgency. 1 week equals a month. If you do 7 days and you have not moved forward with any of these goals, then you've wasted a month of life. So this obviously is not long-term. You don't do this forever. I like to preface this by saying, this is something that you do short-term for a push. Does that make sense, guys? Like if you were working out, you go on a strict diet for a short period of time, just to become a little bit leaner, maybe for an event, right? Like a class reunion, or you going on a hot date or something like that, right? So you want to look a certain way. You know, a lot of pictures are going to be taken. So 12 weeks is the time frame that is used. Now, the 12-week year, because you've gone ahead and sped up the time, if anybody wants to know what book this is, the book is titled the same, and it's by Brian P. Morgan and Michael Lennington. In my 20s, when I first started my fitness business, this is what I used to hit my goals, because I had started hiring mentors then, and they gave me that book. What you do is you write down as much as you know. This is very important. Big title, A, B, C. She didn't know A, B, C, D, E. She knew A, B, C. And that is all that you know about this subject that will move you forward. A lot of times we know exactly the next step to take. We don't take it. Bam, look at that. We don't take the next step, right? So she knew A, B, and C. go back, get her back on track with her personal trainer. Make sure that her trainer knows all of her goals. She didn't share certain goals with her trainer. Come to find out, she had goals about her butt. She wanted her butt to look a certain way, right? She didn't share this with her trainer because she felt subconscious about it. She thought it was vain, which went back as we did the work, because I teach people how to go into the past to get their strength. She lost her power and her strength about her looks because her mom grew her up in competition with her. And she was told she could never look better or appear better than her mother. She can't cook better, look better, do anything better than her mother. So she had to be humble and very guarded around her real goals. Anything vain, considered vain. This is not vain. This is something she personally wanted. Well, how many of us waste time because of a trauma that was set when she was a child? She had to go back in her past, and we went back in her past. And she was like, yeah, I overachieved because of my mom. And I also neglect myself because of my mom. Such a big thing to have. This lady is wildly successful, 40-something years old. Anyway, so she knew A, B, and C. As you do the A, B, and C, then the D's, the E's, those are the divine ideas that come as a result. Does that make any sense to you guys? You will never see everything. You just won't. You'll write down A, you work on A. And what we do is we cross through each of these as we do them. Make sure that you're active at least 4 days a week. She did that, incorporated. So every day this document is changing. Either a line is coming through, a new letter is being added, something like that. Create a sticky personal brand. These are the people who she researched and studied. She listened to a lot of their talks, learned how to structure talks and stories, learned how to get booked, all of that stuff. She created her own personal brand. And that's how she went on to go ahead to be one of the most sought after speakers in STEM and technology ever. So this program speeds up time. It collapses time. It makes the same time that everybody else has go by a lot faster. Bam! So remember I said managing time is super focused, is all about managing focus, right? Guess what? What theme of life were you in? I asked that in front of crowds, 300-400 people.
Right now.
So that is the location that you're in time, but what is the theme that you're in? Most people don't know. We're taught to ever be in this. We're taught to forever be in expansion. Guess what's always in expansion? Nothing that we can quantify. Maybe the universe, didn't they say there was a big bang and it's ever expanding? How come that's the only thing doing that? Right? Time is ever expanding. It's always going on the next second, the next second, the next second, the next second, right? If you don't know your theme or your season, then how can you effectively use time? How can you bend it to your will? Sheesh. So if you're in a season of contraction, which means there's a feeling of loss, and you want to go back to your core and your main values to navigate a situation that might be dark, then time does what? Is time slower or faster, relatively?
Slower.
Slower. So if you're in a season of contraction and you're trying to will and discipline your way into expanding a business, maybe growing your family, you're not in alignment.
Yeah, it's like a resistance.
It's going to be resistance. It's going to be hard. Nothing is going to come. You're going to waste time because you have not paid any attention to the theme or the season that you're in. Same thing with expansion. Oh, man, I got a touch screen. Sorry, you guys. I just touched the screen because I couldn't see the mouse. All right. So expansion. All of us go into stages of expansion. Time moves faster in expansion, right? The speed feels crazy. You're gonna feel imbalanced. Things are coming at you fast. How many people are in that phase?
Yeah, that's a fun phase.
It's fun, right? For some people, it's scary as hell. The changes come fast too. I think the planet is in a state of expansion, like how my brain thinks too. And I didn't share this before, but how I usually think is I think threefold. It's just how my brain naturally works, is I can see congruencies between planet, community, individual, family. Like, that's how I gauge my truths, is if it's true on all of those levels, macro, micro, meso. If it's not macro, micro, meso, then it's a lowercase truth.
Yeah,
because it's somebody's truth.
I kind of do that too, especially with the earth, especially with like planetary, I feel like too.
Yes, right? So time is moving fast. So just in general, like I remember when I was a kid, like what summer looked like. And now what summer looks like now is like a sneeze. All right. So these are the things, once you know your season, you can use your time effectively. Some people are in a holding pattern, maintenance. This is also good for survival. There's no good and no bad. There's just where you are and how you cope with it and where you want to put your focus. But always try to focus where the theme is in your life. You're going to go through seasons. That is why I said that nature in life is very curvy. But you want to add this ruler of time management, AKA focus management, to work within the theme. This is how you enjoy less chaos in your life. Also, you guys, this is another way to wrangle time during expansion. So you got the 12-month year. That's fast. Remember, that's fast. It's for a short period of time. This is how Benjamin Franklin was an elder statesman, right? Founding father. This is how he was an inventor. This is how he was a scientist. This is how he was able to do everything. He used a method called 13x4. It's where he did deep, intense focus for 13 weeks, 4 times a week, all different, largely different time frames, largely different subjects, only one focus per season. Oh, so I've used this to create things too. I've used the 12-month year to buy my first home at age 23 and to have my car paid off too. Brand new car off the lot, which was messed up. I couldn't get the car I wanted because I didn't live in a good enough neighborhood. That's something that I had to consider because it would make you a target. Like in the hood, if you live in the hood and you have something too nice, somebody will rob you, steal it, mess it up. That crab in the bucket mentality. So I couldn't get the car I wanted, but I got kind of the car that I really, really liked. I saw it in the car show. I was able to get it and pay it off, buy the house and the car at age 23, all paid off, right? Big accomplishment for a kid whose biggest want was a bed of my own, because my little brother used to pee on me and I hated it. So allocating time effectively, a lot of us live this life. See where this cursor is? This is, you got all the things, the big rocks, the medium rocks, the little rocks, the sand, all of that stuff got to get into the jar. This is your life. Life is the jar. Some people's looks like this and some people got space for more. So how do you get from here to here?
By saying
organized, huh?
By saying no.
Yup, a lot of no saying. A lot of no saying, also a lot of selfishness.
Yeah.
I call it not selfishness, I call it self-interested.
Or self-care. Self-care.
Self-care as well. But you gotta be self-interested. We're leaders, right? I think everybody on this call is a leader. Leaders are taught to put themselves last. This is why we live the most chaotic lives. The people who we care for have lives that look like this. Right? We lead people with these kind of things, but when we have this, we affect the world like spider webs. It's crazy how a leader who's able to take the big rocks, put them first. The little rocks, the medium rocks, put them second. So define, what is your big rocks? What is your little rocks? What are your pebbles? what is your sand? And then always to self evaluate and say, do I have room for the water? Nothing lives without water. So water is what you uniquely and definitely need. Now, I didn't know about the water part, but I knew about this part. This managing my focus and my awareness was important for me to make it anywhere in my life through any of that mud that I was faced with. Like, all of us are not dealt the same cards, but we all have to run a race. So your cards may be different, right? But you got to leave room for water. Water is the lifeblood of not only, remember when I said I think in 3 parts? Yeah. Individual, family, community, world. Well, that's 4 parts. Individual, family. Water is true of all 4 of those things. Without water, all 4 of those things die. The individual dies without water. The family dies without water. Or a community with no water, they got to get up and move or else they're going to die too. And the same thing if the planet doesn't have water. So if on an individual
in between everything, I feel like it's like a Bruce Lee quote or something too, like be like the water, or
Bruce Lee, like be like water.
Yeah, right.
And it's because it is constantly moving, and it is because it has memory, and because it responds to vibration. At the end of the day, all things are vibration and energy management.
Yeah.
Even time. It's like, what vibration am I going to be in for how long is essentially time management. Ooh,
I love everything you're saying, because it's a totally different perspective from what I teach, because I teach a lot about vibration and emotions, because emotions are vibrations.
Emotions are vibration.
Can allow you to expand and be in that expanding mode because you have the momentum, because you're excited and happy.
Yes. And because you have you're in alignment.
Right. 100%.
Your be-do-say is in alignment.
Vibrational alignment.
Yeah, vibrational alignment. And I didn't spend a lot of time in vibrational alignment. I created from a place of not alignment. I created from a place of willpower, discipline, grind, hustle, hardness, strength.
Yeah. It was the masculine.
Strength. Yeah. But it's a program masculine because it cost me my health. I had a breakdown at 28. My body was in full body high. Yeah. My body was in full hives. I was walking around at 6% body fat, trembling, weak as a leaf. It was nasty. I told my wife now was starting to date me then. I was like, you can leave. I don't have nothing to give you. I don't have no strength, no energy. I can't really focus. I am exhausted. I was running a marathon, teaching classes, training celebrities in their homes. I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning and go to bed at 10:30 at night and wake up again at 4:30 in the morning. Like, it was incredible until I got the mentors, until I got the coaches.
I think we've all done that. I think we've all been there. And at a certain, I think COVID changed a lot too, or at some point for everyone where you're like, I'm not doing it anymore. I can't.
Where I can't. So filling the jar goes from big to little. This is also how you train a human body, by the way. Big muscles first, little muscles next. As above, so below. Are you guys familiar with that? That's the writing on the emerald tablet. It means that the small always contains elements of the large. So if training the human body from big muscle to little is right, then when you look at life, creating a life from big to small is also very important too, because it leaves you room for water, the things that sustain you. All right. Also, chunking is a use of time management use. I think a lot of people are familiar with that. Studies are even showing now that we could only spend focused and complete time for 4 hours a day, where it calls like 4 to 5 hours a day is really the only time. So chunking is kind of hard now because it's 90-minute intervals. And I know Ryan teaches gas and break, like actually making time for the things that fill you up again. So I did include something from one of his slides because it was really good. The exercise where you set a time limit for the focus.
Mm-hmm.
You even put in your free time. You put in your TV time. You put in all of your time. So you do the tasks that you hate. It's funny. There's a lot of things we hate, right? You do them first in the morning and you do them in 90 minutes, and then you do a refiller activity in between. The refiller activity doesn't have to be 90 minutes. It could be 10 minutes, but it's something that refills you. So for me, I do 90 minutes of calls. Sales calls, marketing calls, reconnections, like all my calls, I'm going to do them in the morning. I don't love doing those. Social media posts and touch points, I'm doing all that in the morning. I don't love it. I don't love it.
What's your filler? What is the fillers?
So I go and then I'm spending 15 to 20 minutes with my son and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They get undivided daddy attention for like 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so my twins, I get to play with my twins for 20 to 30 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat something and daddy's going to go back in. And you're not going to see him for another 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then that 90 minutes, I usually put a 45 minutes in after the second 90-minute increment. So 45 minutes to an hour. And that's when I run. Mm-hmm. So I run 4 miles every day. And 2 days a week, I do total body strength training and grounding. When I do strength training, I do it barefoot outside in the grass all year round. Whether it's wet, whether it's cold.
Grounding's so good. It's so good.
Yep. Grounding recalibrates all of the organs because your feet have connections to every single organ, livers, lungs, everything. Grounding is basically placing your feet on flat, natural ground.
It's like charging your human self.
It is unbelievable. It is. Electromagnetic energy goes through your body.
Everyone on the call who's listening, if you haven't watched the movie, the Earthing movie, the documentary, you will literally see the proof why everyone should do this.
Should do it. Scientific. It's been studied. Right. But if you just wait on science for everything, you're going to get everything late and last. Mm-hmm. So this is why life is a constant experimentation. I guarantee you 90% of everything that I've been able to create in my life and with my clients' outcomes is experimentation. They'd be like, hey, what's the facts and figures about that? It'd be like 1 or 2 studies. Just take that. If it feels good to you and you're in touch with yourself, go ahead along with it.
Right.
So theme picking is another great way of using time. You set an annual theme. Annual theme cuts down time because it gives you less options. Every time you pick a theme for your life, you have less options, which wastes less times. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So my annual theme is fun abundance. Every single month for 12 months, fun and abundance coming together is what my focus is. So everything that's not fun, everything that doesn't lead to abundance, for me, I don't do it on a monthly basis unless it's going to lead to it. So I do the unfun things first in the morning. The rest of my day is all fun and abundance and gratitude and all that stuff. Weekly and every day I wake up, I pick a word that's in alignment with all these other things. Mm-hmm. Bam. So I don't give myself a lot of options. I don't give myself all of the options. And this is where you want to program your mind before you go to sleep and when you first wake up. Alpha, theta, gamma. We wake up in alpha. This is suggestible times of the mind. Theta is right before bed. Gamma is when you sleep. Beta is your waking hours. It's very hard to program time and use time during your waking hours. Because your head is like, so you got to wait for those opportunities, and the opportunities is right before bed, right before sleep. This is the matrix that Ryan gave us, you guys. You remember these things? This one? Writing 20 things down. This is your charge and your flow, right? So what recharges you is you would write 20 things down, give it a 1 to 4 scale, That means how much happiness does it bring you on a scale of 1 to 4? And then how much time does it take? So recharging with my kids brings me a 4 happiness. And it takes very little time, maybe a 1 or a 2 time. So it's one of my go-to things that I use to recharge in between my gas. Does that make sense? So my gas is my flow, my hard work that I'm doing, the things I don't like to do that are going to take me to the place I want to get. And then you got the charge. And so filling the jar, you identify your 4s, your 3s, and your 1, and you spend a whole day doing yours. Now, Ryan goes hard. He has his monthly numbers down. How many charges did he do with God? How many charges did he do with his son? How many charges? You can track this like this. I don't do that. I'm not that deep.
I think I checked out of that. I was like, I'm not doing this. I just know I'm not going to be.
I don't do that, but the technique itself, beautiful, beautiful technique. So here's what to expect about time management, so you don't say to hell with it all. Imbalance is inevitable, you guys. Time, even though it is our ruler for all events that are happening, is inevitable that you will have imbalance. You will never have all your buckets filled to the same height all the time. We're humans living in a swirly world on a piece of rock, hurtling through space. Nobody's gonna have all them buckets filled properly.
Yeah, I think acceptance is a big one here. Like, accept it's
For
not
real.
all going to be perfect at the same time.
But there will be seasons when it does feel great.
Totally.
And you know, now I live with, my seasons are mostly great. Sometimes they're not as great, but because I've given so much attention and because I set themes, that theme setting thing slows down time so you can manipulate it, by the way. Set time limits beforehand. Ooh, love this one. My phone goes off a lot because I'm setting time limits. Also, when will I neglect something to pour more energy into a thing that I need to be in now? Once you know what season you're in, you could start to neglect stuff, right? And you got to be able, this is the most important thing, guys. This is something that I learned from my mentor, he lives an awesome life. He retired at like 53, and he has a beautiful family, and they travel the world, and their charity, they give so much to charity, and I just admired him so much, right? Yeah, when you're not in a great season, the maintenance and survival is a thing to focus on. Maintenance and survival is also a win, by the way, with time management, to be able to maintain, because some seasons are just deluge after deluge after deluge. All right. So anyway, what he did, my mentor, he's a former president of Prudential Financial, is he told me that, Dre, when you're married, you're gonna have to tell your wife from time to time that, hey, I have to put our this on hold so that I could go do this. What is it going to be? And you and her sit down and have that conversation. All right, maybe you don't drop the kids off every single day. Maybe I'll have to do that for the next 2 months, because this project you're doing in your business is going to exponentially set us up for the next 5 years. So I'm going to suck it up. Maybe you don't clean around the house that much. But the key is the communication of where you're going to be neglecting. What is going to be the short-term neglected area? Man, you know how many of my coaching clients, their relationships, their marriages are on life support, like, because that part sucked. They neglected 1 or 2 areas around the house, or like with how they talk to their spouse. They don't spend enough time because they have one focus that has got to last for a certain period of time, and they didn't communicate it. Incredible how communication, knowing what season you're in and all of that stuff, how much it matters. Survival mode is short term, and it requires rejuvenation. So I teach this a lot. Survival mode is slow. It feels like forever, but it goes back to the theory of relativity with time. is when your hand is on the stove. It's gonna burn and it's gonna feel like an hour, right? Patience is more than a virtue, it's the key to sanity. Patient with yourself, that's what grace is. Patient with others. If you're a person who holds yourself to high standards, having grace with others is super hard. You don't tolerate it, but having resentment keeps you away from the blessings and the downloads that you get. So make time to do what you love. Passion wrangles time. Cut things out. And the body is intelligent. The human body, our human body, the physical body, the body keeps the score of all the passions, all the traumas, all the pains. The body keeps the record so that it will also tell you what to do in the moment. Stiffness in the shoulders means what to you? Hurting knees. I had hurting knees for like a year. Thought it was because I was working out too hard.
Hey, Dre.
Yes.
I think, Jenny, do you have to go?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have to go. So I'm not sure.
Are you in Central Time?
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Jenny, why don't you see if, I think you gave the host to Dre, right?
I did, yeah. So.
Okay, so I think you can cut out, and then when he ends, I think the recording will go to your cloud. I'm pretty sure. So you can leave the recording going.
Okay, so I can just stop it then. Because I mean, there's no sense in me coming back on because then he'll lose it. He's not finished, so he needs to finish it out, right?
Right, but you made him host, and as long as he's host, I think it'll continue. So,
will it?
And then I think so. As long as Jenny, just leave your Zoom going, it'll shut off when Dre closes the meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, when you make him host, then it won't turn off even if you close it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you pass it on to someone else now.
Yeah, so maybe you can leave according to Brandon.
All right. And then if I get that cloud recording, I'll upload it then.
That'd be great. You guys, thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Dre. One really quick thing I want to tell you guys. I know this, you're still going, but anyone that does have a hard time with time for tasks and not knowing how much time something takes, get one of these clocks because they literally show you how much time something takes. A lot of people don't know how long a task takes, and our brains want to tell us it takes way longer. And it usually only takes 15 minutes. So these clocks, having that visual, help people with the tasks like around the house, things that are uncomfortable that you hate doing.
And some of us that may have the ADHD, we might not have those 90-minute concentration sections. We might have a little to shorten that up a little bit and throw in 15 minutes of after half an hour. Yeah, to chart.
Yeah.
So 90 minutes is also just a recommendation. Like, I couldn't. Yeah. For me, like I get like a dog with a bone with stuff. I could probably do like 4 hours. Like,
I get hyper focused. I feel like it'd be harder for me to stop. I think I would just go longer. Then just stop,
But then you also feel fried afterwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You feel so badly fried.
Bye, guys. This was amazing. All right,
bye, Jenny.
I'm so excited to see the rest of it. And
it's almost done. We're almost done. This is probably like 2 more slides after this.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. See you, Jenny.
Bye, Dre.
All right. Bye. Yep. So the body has intelligence, but we're taught not to trust it. The body has a wherewithal to tell you to continue with an action, to stop an action. The analogy that I like to give is a toothache. But you have to be in touch with yourself to know which parts of your body are which coincide with what. So immediate stress for me is along the shoulders and at the base of my skull. That's immediate, acute stress, like maybe a circumstance. Long-term things that I've been mulling with over and over and spending a lot of time on, it happens in my knees, tightness, stiffness. And how the body communicates with us is through pain. It's messed up and it's unfair. but that's how it communicates with us. And I like to give the analogy of the toothache, right? So imagine you have a toothache, you eat something, and you're like, you know what, this just doesn't feel right. My tooth just doesn't feel right. But, I'm gonna continue eating, right? A couple days pass, you don't get it checked out. Now, this right side is really hurting. This is what you're saying to yourself as you're chewing. Now I'm just gonna chew on the left side. Then that toothache graduates again to throbbing, to where your heartbeat is around. And now you're not even chewing, but you have this heartbeat happening on the right side of your face. And now it's going down into your neck. We've all been there, right? That pain is telling you that something is off and that there's an extended amount of time spent doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. There's layers to the message. So what am I spending most of my time doing? Neglecting my going to get treated. That's something that happens to a lot of men, and that's why a lot of men, we actually have a shorter lifespan than women do, is because we don't go to get checked. We don't spend time renovating our bodies. We don't spend time maintaining our bodies. We don't spend time I would say, listening to our pain. We ignore it to go. And so knowing what theme you're in and knowing what annual and daily themes you're in tie into what you would choose and how you will listen to your body. So if you're in a theme of expansion where you're like, go, 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 you have to set a time to say, hey, I'm going to do this for a certain amount of time and I'm going to stop. And that's how you preserve energy, and that's how you effectively use your time. You set a time for that thing to end. You do number 2. But your body has intelligence, and when your body is at peace, that's when we are the best stewards of our time, when our bodies are at peace. So listening to your body will tell you a lot of things. It will tell you you need rest. It will tell you need to work harder. It will tell you you have a habit that really sucks. So I run every day, and I had this big callus on my thumb. I didn't know where it came from. It came from every single time I take my shoe off, I rub the skin with the back of the sock, in between the back of the shoe and the sock, over and over and over every single day. So I had a callus forming here. This is a scar. That told my body that there was something repetitive. I didn't know where it came from because it wasn't conscious. But my body told me in the visual thing of a scar, like, hey, you put on the shoes like this, try putting them on a different way. So our body speaks to us. That shoe thing is a little thing, but our bodies tell us big things too, because the body keeps the score. Man, so when it comes to time management, none of the tactics, none of the tools, none of the tricks, nothing works without this thing here. Integrity, guys. Integrity, integrity, integrity. Integrity means I do it, I say it, I be it. The better integrity you have in any area, the better that area is going to work. Time management does not flow without integrity to the parameters that you've set on the focus. How much time will you be focused here in this energy? How much time, for how long? How much time will you spend recovering? How much time will you spend doing without the integrity? So that's a structure. Without those structures set, nothing works. I like this definition of integrity. And this is what gave me the power to dare to dream, to be a family man, to be a great trainer, to be a coach, to be a kid. This is to be a man who impacts the lives of others, who made me dare that, right? To be a speaker, to be a 4-time author, like the thing that made me dare to do those things. Because people are like, yo, Dre, how could you be this inner city kid go through mental, physical, sexual abuse, all the stuff that you've gone through and come out like this, you must be really lucky. Nope, it's not lucky. It came from me having integrity. If I said I was going to do something, I knew without the shadow of a doubt that my word was whole, perfect, and complete. In the beginning, there was the word. My mother, who adopted me, has never broken her word to me in over 30 years. She came to America from Guyana, South America, with $2 in her bag. She cleaned homes. She became a nurse. She owned 15 different homes that took care of over 20 foster kids that she helped raise. All because of what? Integrity. I say it, I do it, I mean it. One of the exercises that I give a lot of my clients, I actually have a program that I'm starting in January. The first exercise is go back and restore the integrity with everyone. I know I said I was going to do this with you and for you. I didn't get to it yet. When can I get it to you? Growing up in my life, living my word, if I said it, I meant it. It was no veering, no ifs, no ands. I'm not 5 minutes late. I'm not it's just hard integrity. If you go back through, you'll mend those relationships in family. You'll mend those relationships in business. How can I make this right? All of that stuff. Then your word is whole, perfect, and complete. Then you have this power. Everything comes together. All of your fingers in your life come together to a fist. You have force because your integrity is fixed. So when you say it, it's done in the moment that you said it. It adds power to your word. In the beginning, there was the word, but the word is only powerful if integrity is melded with it. This is what having integrity also does, by the way. It tells you on a DNA level that you are capable. It's a win. I say I'm going to do something and I do it. It is confirming capability. It is confirming that you are greater than who you think you are. You are the vision of yourself that you dream in. Like we dream in our higher selves, right? You walk a certain way, you dress a certain way, you move a certain way, you dream as your higher self, right? When we dream, we could fly in our dreams sometimes, right? We could do superhuman things in our dreams. That higher self, when you live in integrity, when your word matches your doing, matches your being, then you are your higher self, realized. And so for me, it was like putting on my superhuman suit as a kid to say, I'm going to be one of the greatest coaches, the greatest trainers, that my life is going to have impact on other people's lives. And because I suffered and went through the hell I went through, kids growing up like how I'm growing up aren't going to have to. It's the reason why I speak to over 1,000 kids every year. It's because I have that integrity. I promise that if I was able to ever make anything of my life, that's what I would do. I would speak to kids aging out of foster care who don't have nowhere to go because I had nowhere to go. So living my word, and it's crazy. Those kids, to give you an idea, only 4% of them less than 4% ever graduate college, right? And create careers. 40% of them become homeless. And the sex trafficking ring, 75 to 80% of those people who are being sex trafficked around the globe are kids who grew up and spent time in foster care or abandoned. Psychologically, spiritually, and DNA-wise, it does something crazy to you when the people who were here for you are no longer here for the people who had you are no longer here for you. It just really does a psychological thing. Spiritual. And so living your word gives you structure. And it should always be the fuel of your actions. If there's any area of life that really, really sucks, the first thing to check is integrity. Integrity is the thing that really, really blew my mind. And it's easy to know when people have it because it's in you and you live by it. But in order to see and have great people around you, which is another one of my superpowers, is I always have great people around me. And it's because I have the integrity, and that speaks to everybody else. That attracts people to me. And integrity collapses your time. You make better use of your time when you have that integrity. It gets rid of misunderstandings and wasted time. So that's how you step into your powers, by managing your focus, managing the way that you use, spend it, and steward your time. I hope that this presentation has given you some frameworks, some distinctions, some different ways of thinking about time and how important the measure of it is and how malleable and changeable and collapsible it could be. And I hope that one of the structures that you have is that I've shared is one that you could incorporate and use between the 12-week year, between I have all the time in the world, between changing busy to occupied. All of those frameworks, they help transform my life in a huge way. And I went, oh, go ahead.
I would say, so I did your exercise last week with the blocks.
Yes.
That was, yeah, it was a little, I don't know how to say it. It was a little, it was eye-opening, let's put it that way. I've lived a similar life. I left home when I was 15. I lived down the streets for 3.5, 4 years, worked my way up, but I kind of, I relate to the pain motivation that you talked about, but I guess I've never ever been able to put a framework around it till I heard you talking about how you went through it. Right. So it was really cool. Because I've always wondered, well, how did I get from there to here? And, being an I've always been an entrepreneur, but I just it was like I had to. It
was must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and, but I think other people might want to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
If you got a couple moments, maybe.
Sure. So.
Or comments.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, wants me to run through a framework with them, I'm sure I would love to help.
So, like when you were talking about the seasons, I guess that's kind of where I got a little confused as to what exactly outlines a season.
So, a season would be, all right. There's a framework for that I would give you to help paint what a season is. So think about your breath, right? There's an inhale, an expansion of the lungs. Then there's an exhale, right? Then there's like a reset or a refractory period. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So life happens that same exact way. So there might be 3 months of your life where there's rapid growth and expansion and change occurring. Not everybody's whole life is like that 24/7, right?
Right.
So how do you handle yourself when that is coming? Most people are just thrown into a washing machine at that point. Like they don't have any grasp on it. But if you see that I don't know, things are coming quick. Like maybe you're spending a lot of money, you got a brand new job, you're getting married, all these things are happening. Then you can say, I am in a season of expansion and growth. Expansion and growth. So therefore, I'm going to need to give myself more recovery time, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Yep.
We just yeah.
Right. And the opposite, I'm going to have to give myself more time to recover because I'm doing more vigorous action. If that, like, life is just more vigorous at this time period. So I am in this season of rapid expansion, rapid growth. And then that would be the opposite of when you're in a season of contraction. Like maybe you're selling all of the stuff to be able to make a move in the future, or your kids moved out of the house and now it's just you and your wife, right? Or your business hasn't hit the revenue goals that's a whole nother you that you should bring to that season. What happens is a lot of people don't identify which season they're in, what time frame they're in. So it's hard to plan. And then there's a lot of wasted time. There's a lot of bad emotion. There's a lot of, it's rough. Also
being proactive during both, right? You got to be proactive. So you identify, which I'm in a confusing situation right now of whether it's expansion or contraction. I'm kind of confused, but so my first step would be identify which one of those two I'm actually in, so I can plan accordingly, right? Or act.
You can also be in the refractory period as well. So that's a time when you stop and you recalibrate. You say, okay, what are my assets? Assets meaning good people, good places, good things, finances. What are my assets? What are the things that add? And then you also recalibrate by saying, what do I need to get rid of? Also, you recalibrate with this situation might be bad or unfavorable for me right now. How do I conserve energy? That's a big one. When do I lean on breath work, meditation, all these other practices? Because in that refractory period, you're getting ready. Everyone is either going into something or coming out of something. And I found that knowing where I'm at in my process helps the most. And so the quiet before the storm, that's another season. That's life is breath and breath is life. Like that is one of the most profound statements I've ever gone through and I've ever came across. Is life is breath and breath is life. And it really transformed like how I'm able to cope with stuff and how I'm able to use my time and how I'm able to be at peace.
Okay. So, and then when you're in those seasons, so you go back to that one slide you showed where that lady, you said you can only focus on 3 things at once.
Yes. So 3 major things. And the reason why I said 3 was because it had to do with immense focus. Immense focus. You know, and this takes time to actually do. This 12-week year is it's a great tool, but it's a difficult thing.
Is this 12-week year, is this similar to Franklin's 13-4?
It is it's different because Franklin's 4 is only one. Only one thing. one major focus, whereas this could have 3. I've actually gotten to the point where I could do 5 for this 12-week year, but it's recommended to start with 3. Because what is going to happen is, like, let's say you know A and B, and you execute on A and B, and it will yield C, right? The next step. There's some times where the next move is going to be a co-creation, where you're going to wait and you're going to need something from somebody in order to move forward. So you might get to a standing point here. So then you go to the next agenda. That makes sense, Brandon?
Yeah. So when you're, excuse me. So like say, so I always kind of break mine down similar to you, where you've got your 4 things. Like I got my family, I got my business, I got my physical health. So every day I'm trying to move the needle in each category, and then I prioritize based upon the day which one I'm going to do, and from 4 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. I kind of schedule them out like that. But if I'm sitting here, and so now say we'll use hers just because it's up on the screen. So we say fitness goals. Let's say C would be, all right, I'm working out 4 days a week and I'm running 3 days a week. And now I'm into this cycle. So now I've built that consistency. Would that be kind of like you're going to be stuck in C until you reach, okay, now that you're getting comfortable, you can add more weights? Would that
So
like D would be
what?
More strength resistance or increasing your distance?
Right. So then this would be wiped out because you've actually hit this goal.
Okay.
Right? Because now you have the habit. You own the habit. This is for things you don't have yet, or you're not good at yet.
Got it. Okay.
So you would get, once you own it, you own it. It goes into your bag of tricks.
So it's like habit stacking. So now that it's a habit, now I can add on to the next.
Now you can stack, right?
Got it.
And it's because you own the foundation. But let's say this is something completely new that you have no idea how to do.
Like we'll say marketing right now for building my coaching business.
There you have it. So that is, that's a brand new thing, new waters. That's a perfect thing to bring to this matrix. So first thing I would probably do is say, what are the well-known practices? Research all well-known marketing practices for coaching businesses. Second would be pick one, focus in on it. Find a mentor. That's one of the things I would do, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then you go ahead and you actually do the things, and you do all that you can do each day, because the day is now equivalent to a week. So there's no there's no real break in momentum. Maybe once you get to C, you're waiting for that marketing mentor to get back to you. And so then in the same day, possibly you would go ahead and say, create a personal brand. And then the mentor reaches back to you, you go back to the C. Now you got C crossed out, A crossed out, B crossed out, and now you add D. Does that make sense? Yep. So this was actually in my pocket. I carried this in my pocket. The very first time I used this was house, car, furniture. Because I was kicked out of my home. After I graduated college, my mom was like, you're out. Actually, I lived in college. I lived in the military and I lived in college. And then all my stuff was just packed up waiting for me. She stored my stuff. But by 17, I'm out. I was out of the house. So I was basically homeless, right? Nowhere to live. So I was like house, car, furniture, because sleeping on the floor sucked. And so then I had to write down what I knew, if that makes any sense. And you're going to know more than you know if you hold yourself. You're going to know more than you think you know if you hold yourself to this kind of urgency. Day equals week. Boom. It's like urgent, 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 urgent. you will get so much done in a little bit of time. It's amazing. Fear doesn't even have time to take root. And then check out what happens. Because you had the integrity to do A, B, and C, your muscles are building up. Your internal, like, shoot, I got this. Your swagger is better. And so pretty soon you're putting crazy things up here. I'm finding the woman of my dreams this year. That was one of my things. The woman of my dreams was one of my 90-day things. Now, I'll tell you what, it didn't come in 90 days. It came in 180 days for me. I found the woman of my dream in 180 days. But that's where the divine download happens. The time becomes so like sped up, but to be in an area of contraction where you're actually shrinking and try to do this, it's not going to happen. You got to get out of that theme first. You got to designate a new theme. And the way to move from one theme to another theme, from contraction to expansion, is to pay attention to what's occurring in your life as well, but to be still. To get still is the way to transition from expansion to contraction to, you got to stop, get still, reconnect with self. It's easier said than done. Like, I would have to coach you to stop everything, like to stop the noise and stop, because there's just a ton of crap that will mess you up. But the inner peace is the place where you can then create the themes. But that framework works really, this framework works really well for short term. You don't want to live in this is frantic. It becomes too much after a while. And all of these tools and techniques, you definitely want to meld to your own life and body and style. And
is that knowing kind of the genuine living that you're doing? Is that?
Yep, genuine living. Okay. It's about knowing who you are and then being able to pick these themes and being able to pick who you're going to be in any given moment. Being able to, once you know yourself, like, it's really know yourself without pain, trauma, hurt, without those things, becoming really aware of who you be as an individual, then you'll know what techniques work for you. Because your business will be stopped eventually too. The business becomes stopped when you become stopped.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of, I work with Jenny because of the ADHD, and I was telling her like 2 weeks ago, because I'm like, I got to get this time management more focused, because
yes,
20 years of corporate world and doing sales, I can do that in my sleep. I knew what my day was, I knew what my hours, everything was just meticulously done. But now that I have to create all of this, it's very highly distracting. I don't say distraction, but you just don't know necessarily what is a priority versus what isn't a priority, and stuff like that. So
it's like it's almost like you're doing everything. So if you're doing everything, then nothing is the real. Yeah, I get it. That this is where becoming quiet, still, peaceful, and that slide that I gave you with the steps, is where I start. Is where I usually start everybody. I'll share that one again.
The vision, idea, plan, effort, success.
Super important, because it gives you structure. That's the structure to managing your time.
I use also a list process where I write down what I want. What do I want? So like in this knowing thyself.
Yeah.
One of the best ways to know thyself is to figure out what that self wants in life.
Absolutely.
So I write a list, and then I rewrite it, and then I prioritize, and I say, what's the most important thing to me? What do I really want? You know, who am I responsible for? What do I, things like that. And then it's been very interesting to see that once you put that out, how it's almost like things start manifesting and happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
You'll know
you
the next
identify it.
step.
Yeah.
Just because you identified it. Remember, that's where I said the idea is born. That's where the baby is born.
Mm-hmm.
The baby is born
I did like what you said when you said get right on it.
Oh, yeah. You got to act on the baby right away.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions? Christina or Joe? Joe's usually driving, so.
Yeah, I just have a question. The templates and the frameworks that you shared today.
Yes.
Is there somewhere where we can use those, or do we contact you for one-on-one?
I do have a booklet, because this particular workshop, I usually do it I do it live as a lead magnet, actually, which is right. So, and I do it for the kids too, because imagine you're a kid and you can get this stuff, right? So, right, your whole life can be very different.
Maybe you could share a couple of those. Is those PowerPoint slides?
These particular slides are, yeah. What I would do,
you could share one or two of them or whatever, if you feel like it. Unless it's proprietary. So.
Well, I do develop all these frameworks.
Yeah.
But for this group, I would give that, especially the I would give a framework for this group, just to give all of them is kind of.
Yeah, but
like, wow. But I would.
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't expect it. I was just asking, where can I buy it?
So what I would do is I would for the group, I would give the major framework and the ideology behind it. And then there's another part to that framework as well, the 12-week year framework. It's a pass-fail. At the end of each week, you give yourself a pass-fail, because you have to gauge your level of integrity. So remember, integrity was that last slide. So what I would do for this group is I would send that breakdown, and I do have a 13x4 breakdown as well. I would send that to the group.
That'd be awesome. And guys, remember, it's kind of a networking group too, so we can avail ourselves of the different coaches here, and also refer them to people we know. And I think, Andres, I appreciate you did 2 weeks with us.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
And I watched another one of the shows you did on Facebook, which was about, you got so many things that you're teaching, like how to self-publish and things.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool too. So look Andre up and check out his posts on Facebook. And do you have a website you could post to, Andre?
Yeah. avisionlive.com, andrevanlun.com. All of my stuff is, I have it all on my websites, social media. And contact me on this Calendly here. And I have 4 openings for the new year. I'm already booked out for the new year. But
all right.
Genuine Living is the program that I'm promoting. And one of the cool things about that particular program is that it's the first 6 weeks of the year. The first full 6 weeks of the year. It's a group coaching program, and we work on 6 things that basically help you to manipulate not only time, but help you to manipulate and transform situations. And so everybody in that program is bringing one situation that has given them hell. And in the end of the 6 weeks, we're moving it forward more in that 6-week time period than they have in the previous 365. And most of our blocks and stuff they're internal. They are really internal. But when you work and you become aware, and then second, become aware of the trauma or become aware of what is holding you back, which is what you don't know, by the way. You become aware of that. And then second, erase the emotion, the pain, and the fallout, because there's always fallout. Like if I had known this about me, then this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had this divorce. I wouldn't have had this thing. My business wouldn't have stalled. There's some fallout, emotional fallout. That's 2. And then 3, how to make a declaration that actually sticks. Because a lot of us make new declarations on old pain. You can't do it. You make new declarations on old problems. Can't do it. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, right? And then the engine room is how to take divine action in the direction. It's not just about action alone. It's divine action in the direction. How you feel when you're divinely aligned and linked up. People don't know. So we just take tons of action and it's being busy. And then 4th part is the actual celebration. Celebration holds you responsible for more success. So a lot of us, especially if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, you don't celebrate. You just say, okay, good, I did that. What's next? Okay, good, I did that. What's next? Okay, good, I did that. What's next? And
Joe, you got anything, brother?
No, except to say, thanks, Andre. This is awesome. It's really, hitting what I need to hear right now. So I'm sorry I got on a little bit late. I'm gonna have to go through it again.
No, it's all good.
Yeah,
my pleasure to share.
It was great stuff, man.
It's good to see your face again too.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, brother. So this is really resonating with me. Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? It's hard to find you guys, man. I'm grateful for Alex to put this together and everything. It's hard to find people who are just about elevating who they are, man. It's a rare air up here, right?
This is this group is something I just kind of put out, because I wanted acquaintances and friendships of like-minded people, because a lot of times our entrepreneurs feel alone because not everybody thinks like us.
Absolutely.
And so this group has been a way to get people who think similarly, who are trying to be better themselves, to be the best they can be, to live out their purpose.
Yeah.
And then they're coming from all different directions. It's awesome. And I put it out and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I got guests like you coming on here, man. Really, honestly. So
thank you, Alex.
Yeah. So I appreciate what you've done. I think we should probably, I got to hop off and
I got to go as well. Yeah.
So we usually close with a prayer.
Okay.
And I was going to ask if anybody wants to close with prayer. If not, I will. So, our Creator, we thank you so much for this day of life today, and for Andre sharing his time of information was so useful. And anytime that happens, it's coming from your spirit. And we pray that we can implement what we've learned today in our lives. We pray for Andre to be able to reach thousands more people and increase what he's doing, because it's so good. So we thank you for this, and we approach you with all gratitude. We pray for your power to be active in our lives, and do so in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right.
Thank you. And so if I want to send this the companion guide with it, how do you want to do that? I'm asking technologically.
I'd actually like to get your book, but you can post it in the messenger, just copy and paste.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I'll do that.
But I'd like to look at I'd like to purchase your book.
Yeah. So in the book, I outlined all this stuff because it's just super important. And I wrote it so you can flip to any page and you'll get something.
Now, is it available on Amazon or do you sell it direct?
Everywhere books are sold. I work with a publisher on this one. Focus on better.
Focus on better. Okay, cool.
Focus on better.
Focus on better. Yep.
Awesome.
All right, brother.
All right.
I'm kind of in a turmoil situation here for a while, but I will. I appreciate the invite for us to talk, and
absolutely.
Okay, we'll see you guys. Andre, you'll have to end.
Okay.
You'll have to end the meeting.
I gotta find my. Hold on, let me stop there. All right, we're here.
See you guys.
All right, see you.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah,
Bye,
my
everyone.
pleasure.
God bless you.
Bye, guys.
See you, everybody. See you.